Full card prediction for UFC Des Moines. As always, you can call me Kunith. Let's make some money this week. At the top of the card, Cory Sandhagen fighting Deiveson Figueiredo. I was a bit surprised by the betting line. I knew that Sandman should have been the favorite. I just didn't expect this wide of a line. Yan did pitch a shutout over Deiveson Figueiredo over 5 rounds in his last fight, but I thought the former champion, the legend, was going to get a bit more love on the betting line. That's not the case, though. Sandhagen comes into this one massive favorite, and I think he should look the part. Taller, younger, much better output. I can see him tripling or even quadrupling the numbers of strikes landed than Figueiredo over 5 rounds. And I'm not so sure Deiveson Figueiredo wants to be fighting anymore. Getting up there in age, undersized for the division, coming off of a bad loss. I think he's cashing a check, and not for nothing. I know fighter pay has been a big topic over the last couple of years, but somebody like this gets paid top dollar even if he's landing 10 to 12 strikes a round. But I think his only path to victory here is by landing a big shot in the first 10 minutes that knocks Cory Sandhagen out, and that just doesn't really happen. I think Sandhagen drowns him with volume, works the body effectively, stays long, and in typical Cory Sandhagen fashion wins a decision. If Yan didn't close him out late, I don't think that Cory Sandhagen will, but I do think that Sandhagen's going to put on a show. Lots of strikes. I think he's going to use that lateral movement, confuse Figueiredo, and I don't think Figueiredo's even going to let his hands go. I think he's just going to get through the 25 minutes. As a fan, not really dying to see this fight go 5 rounds. They could have put this as a 3-rounder and had a different main event, but that's fine. Cory Sandhagen wins this fight. He wins on the scorecards as always. Maybe the easiest fight he's had in the last couple of years. Give me Cory Sandhagen by decision. Next, we have Reinier fighting Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal not as big of a favorite as Cory Sandhagen, but the line's still a bit wide. Vegas is expecting another win for Bo. He's shorter on experience, might not have as much submission ability as Reinier. He's given up some size here as well, but I don't think any of that's going to matter. Bo Nickal caught a lot of flack for the way that he approached the Paul Craig fight, and I think that was the best case scenario. I don't think you should have taken Paul Craig to the mat because that's his only path to victory. I think you work for 15 minutes on the feet, get those rounds in. You never want the distance before. So to get a chance to get those 3 rounds under your belt makes a lot of sense. You're not going to have that opportunity against everybody, but Paul Craig, not really known for the striking, doesn't have one-shot knockout power. You can stay safe, and if you need to, you could take him down and probably stay safe in a dominant position, but you don't want to play that game if you don't have to. So while it was boring in the moment, I think he's a better fighter because of it, or he just had money on the over like Miesha had money on Abus Magomedov last week. Easily the most fixed fight of 2025. Look into it. Regardless, I think that style of fight that he brought to the Paul Craig matchup could actually serve him pretty well this week. Reinier, somebody with good submission technique, problem on the mat really for anybody. So if you take him down, you run the risk of getting caught with something. Guillotine, triangle, armbar, getting swept, or maybe worse. Now, to be fair, are a lot of guys going to be able to do that to Bo Nickal? No. But if anybody's going to be able to do it, Reinier on that short list. So I expect, again, Bo Nickal to keep the fight standing, work at striking range, because not only does that remove the best chance of winning for Reinier, but I think it's important for Bo Nickal to get better on the feet in this middleweight division. Because imagine him right now, for as good of a grappler as he is, as good of a wrestler as he is, imagine what happens if they matched him up with Robert Whittaker. He would die. So you got to get those reps under your belt. Somebody like Reinier, who's one-dimensional grappler, not really going to give you much in the 3rd round on the feet. I think this is where Bo Nickal's going to be able to pick him apart, work that boxing. I think that big left overhand is going to be there as well because Reinier is going to be waiting for the takedown. And if he needs to go with what is normally plan A, I think he could take Reinier down and stay safe because Reinier, again, a problem on the mat, but you notice when you watch him fight, a lot of the success that he has from a dominant position. Arm triangles, getting to your back, rear naked chokes, things like that. He's very good with that kind of technique. Off his back, he's not like a Paul Craig level of threat. So I do think that if Bo Nickal needs to, he can take him down, stay safe, win rounds that way. But I think he's going to box him up, and I think he ends up knocking him out here. Give me a big overhand left to end the fight. Give me Bo Nickal by knockout. And real quick, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment something for the algorithm. You know how the algorithm works. Next, we have good matchmaking. I love when they put the old heads in there together. 38-year-old Daniel Rodriguez fighting 38-year-old Santiago Ponzinibbio. Great fight. Ponzinibbio coming off of a knockout win over Carlston Harris, early stoppage, and Daniel Rodriguez coming over a split decision win over Alex Morono, and yes, valid win. Now, maybe those results are affecting the betting line a little. Maybe D-Rod's big belly in that Alex Morono fight is affecting things a little bit. Maybe Santiago Ponzinibbio's ability to go to war and just outlast guys is playing a part here. But consider me surprised by where the betting line is sitting at the time of recording this, because I think that Daniel Rodriguez opened as a slight favorite. Money has since come in on Ponzinibbio, and now he finds himself as a slight underdog. Also, 75% of the Tapology voters are voting for Santiago Ponzinibbio to get it done, and I really just don't see it. This to me feels like an obvious Daniel Rodriguez betting spot at plus money, because Daniel Rodriguez throws way more volume, extends his volume as well. He's throwing combinations. Ponzinibbio has a bit more power, but a lot of times it's one and done. He looks for the big shot, resets. Daniel Rodriguez flows with his combinations, flows with that boxing, and can really run away with this fight on the numbers. That's what he's done to many guys before. That's what he did to Alex Morono recently. Now where Santiago Ponzinibbio can have success is if he takes him down. D-Rod's got bad takedown defense. That's not going to change at this point in his career. That could be the difference maker here. You can almost liken it to when Daniel Rodriguez fought against Kelvin Gaston. Gaston got those timely takedowns on a fight that was competitive on the feet, and he ends up winning as a result. But outside of Daniel Rodriguez's fight with Ian Gary, he really hasn't been outstruck by anybody. And to be outstruck by Ian Gary, not all that bad. It happens to a lot of people. Happened to the Nightmare last week. He wins the volume game, and he doesn't get knocked out or really even knocked down. He tends to be the guy that's moving forward for most of the fight as well. So the optics of Daniel Rodriguez and how he approaches the game, it's very judge friendly. A lot of output. I'm the guy moving forward. I don't appear to be hurt that much by what's coming back my way. You can't really ask for more. Now Santiago Ponzinibbio will throw down. He'll go to war with this guy, and he's got a lot more fights. Taken a lot more damage as a result. He's been dropped in 3 of his last 4 fights, and he just doesn't throw enough for me in this one. And I get why the line is close. It's going to be a competitive fight. Both guys are going to have their moments in this fight, but Santiago Ponzinibbio is more likely to lose rounds because of the output. And if he gets sat down at one point, maybe he gets back up, but if he gets dropped by a punch, he loses that round. I don't think that we're going to get those same things from Daniel Rodriguez. I think he has fewer ways to lose rounds, and as a result, seems like the value. So give me the underdog here. For now. By the time you get to the window on Saturday, it might not be the case. But Daniel Rodriguez, as of right now, I think he gets it done. Give me Daniel Rodriguez by decision. And at his odds, he's definitely going to be on the official betting article of the week. Official betting article was profitable last week despite Anthony Smith losing. I know that some people thought that I'd put my life savings on Anthony Smith. That's not how this all works.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Still had a solid night on the official betting article. Also on the community parlays, we hit parlays at -108, +342, and +780. So very fun night of bets because it's fun when you win. And that was all found on KunithMMA.com. Also, if you want the DFS strategy guide, lineup optimizer, data model, projections, all of that good stuff, that can also be found on KunithMMA.com. Linked in the description and in a pinned comment. Back to the breakdown. Next, Daniel Marcos is fighting Montel Jackson, rocking the most absurd knockdown rate in the UFC. Montel Jackson is looking to extend that winning streak to 6 and take that shiny O off this guy's record. And Daniel Marcos has been very lucky. The only thing that's been clean about his UFC run is the record, because he's had some very, very close calls. He got gifted a decision against Davy Grant in a fight that he clearly lost, had another split decision against Adrian Yanez, although I thought he did enough to get the job done with respect. Nearly got disqualified against Aori Kilang, but that got chalked up as a no contest, luckily for him. And even against John Castaneda, he was cruising against John Castaneda, but in the 3rd round was on shaky legs, looked like he was about to get knocked out and finished there, and John Castaneda just kind of ran out of time. For the older people in the comments, you guys will know Weeble Wobbles, right? The egg-shaped toys that are weighted on the bottom, so when you knock them over, they come back up. Weeble Wobbles fall, but they don't get knocked down, or whatever it is, or knocked down, or something like you know what Weeble Wobbles are, damn it. That's what his record has been like in the UFC. Very bend but don't break, and I think that comes to an end this week. Montel Jackson's got ridiculous power. It's almost unmatched at 135 pounds. He's sending dudes to the upper room easily. Montel Jackson also only loses to very strong wrestlers. You look at his 2 losses, they both came in the UFC. They came against Brett Johns, they came against Ricky Simone. In those fights, he had to defend a combined total of 39 takedown attempts. 39! That's absurd, and I don't think Daniel Marcos is going to go out there and shoot 20 times. It's just not going to happen. And since that isn't going to happen, I expect Montel Jackson to do what he does. Stay patient, let that big shot reveal itself, land with that crazy power, and as a result, produce bigger moments. Now, does he knock this guy out? I don't think so. Giving him the benefit of the doubt. The guy's super talented. You don't get to this point and be undefeated if you're not. So I think he will last the full 3 rounds. but I think that Montel Jackson is just going to produce bigger moments in each round and as a result win that round. So give me Montel Jackson to win this fight because of those moments, because of that power. As long as he's not getting taken down 20 times, I'm okay with it. Montel Jackson to me wins by decision. Next, we got a tough one at 135 pounds. You got Sidey. He's fighting Cameron Smotherman this week. Smotherman made his debut against Jake Hadley. Short notice, massive underdog, plus 400 or something like that. Ends up winning every round. Ooh. Now, he won these rounds with forward pressure and boxing. And you go back and you watch that, and it's a work of art. He kept it so simple. You have to go back and watch it just to kind of appreciate the simplicity of it all. Jab, 1-2, double jab, 3-2 to the body, then upstairs. I like that. Really appreciate the approach from him, because it's the one thing he didn't do is he didn't do too much. And you see that all the time. So don't do too much. Let your hands go, trust your natural power, and win rounds by being first. And that's what he did. That's all it takes sometimes. We watch these fights week in and week out. How many times do we see guys doing some BS when they could really just do their best to be first, come with a boxing heavy approach, don't sit down on everything so you can keep the same pace throughout all 3 rounds. Sometimes we see these guys having a little bit of success. Okay, now I'm going to shoot for a takedown. Now I'm going to dive into the clinch. Now I'm going to throw a wheel kick or some nonsense. Cameron Smotherman showed up to his UFC debut ready to win, and I really like that. Now on the other side, Sidey's coming off of a loss. Well, the judges called it a win. It was a loss to Garrett Armfield. On the rewatch, I thought 30-27 Armfield was a better scorecard than 29-28 for Sidey. But I do like the submission attempts. I do like the toughness. I like the variety on the feet. He throws a lot of stuff down the middle. That includes knees, and that might work well against Cameron Smotherman, who's really just coming at you with meat and potatoes. I think if the fight hits the mat, Sidey's really going to do a good job of threatening submissions. Even if he's not getting them, he could be winning the minutes while he's looking to wrap something up. He can use it to get back on top. He can use it to get back to his feet. And Cameron Smotherman hasn't had experience against the highest level of competition as of late. So if he's down there getting caught with like a Darce choke or something, is he going to have the same kind of wherewithal and same kind of grit and same kind of patience and calmness that somebody like Garrett Armfield would have? I don't know, and that makes me nervous. But what I do know is that if the fight does hit the mat, it's because Sidey took him there, right? He has to get a takedown here. I don't think that Smotherman's going to try to take him down because of what those submission attempts looked like in his last fight. I don't think he's going to try to take him down here. I think we're going to see a lot of the same thing we saw against Jake Hadley. Keep it simple, walk him down, throw hands. That's it. And for Sidey, he is 0-8 on takedown attempts in the UFC. So I don't really expect that to change this week. I don't think the guy's very good at getting fighters to the mat. He's good at throwing things up, but he's not good at getting fighters to the mat, and that's a big deal. Now, I don't think that Smotherman's going to completely whitewash him on the feet. I do think that he's going to have his moments. Maybe Sidey lands something hard down the middle and gets a big reaction, or even drops Smotherman at one point. But I think that Smotherman, as the fight goes on, fights a good game plan, wins on the scorecards as a result, and Sidey has a way of wearing a lot of damage as well. So I'm going to go with Cameron Smotherman as an underdog to get it done this week. Give me Smotherman by decision. Next, we have a fight between Jeremy Stephens. He's fighting Mason Jones this week. Crazy to see Jeremy Stephens back in action. Only 38 despite a long career. Dude's a beast. The pick will be Mason Jones, though. Stephens hasn't competed in MMA since 2022. Last UFC win over 7 years ago. Fun to see him back in action, but Mason Jones is in his prime. Did what he had to do over in Cage Warriors, got better, leveled up, came back. Good chin, high motor. I think it's an easy win for him, and I think that Jeremy Stephens is going to have a little bit of an adjustment period. The guy's a vet, been there, done that, but he's also been boxing, right? Bare knuckle at that. So it's a different kind of feel you're going to get with MMA, having to defend takedowns. I know he's done it, but it's a long time since that's happened. So give me Mason Jones to win this fight. I think Mason Jones ends up finishing him late. Give me Mason Jones by knockout. Next, we have a fight that offers you the best bet on the card. So Yana Santos fighting Miesha Tate. I forgot Miesha Tate was still fighting, but here we are. Not only is she competing again, but she's favored against a woman who looked career best last time out. Yana Santos showed up in really good shape against Chelsea Chandler, looked strong over 3 rounds, dropped her in the second round, threw a lot of strikes, was accurate. A lot to like at Yana Santos last time out. Overall, very good performance for her, but Miesha Tate is favored, and it's for a reason. And that reason is because she stayed in phenomenal shape from retiring to now. 3-round shape, and more importantly, she wants to wrestle here. Yana Santos historically has had very bad takedown defense. It's not going to change here. And it's not like her striking is good enough or damaging enough to get a whole lot of respect from Miesha Tate here to deter her from closing the distance and getting the takedowns that she needs. I think Miesha Tate's going to be on her early, often. I think she's going to take her down easily, and I think she's going to take her back. Miesha Tate's got some of the best back takes in the division. No one has submitted Yana Santos in the UFC UFC, but I think that changes here because she hasn't faced somebody with the back-taking ability of Miesha Tate. Love the price, love the spot, love the line at -142, but if you want to get a little crazy, I really like the prop as well, the method of victory. Miesha Tate winning this fight by submission.
It's free real estate.
Man, you know that song that's like, he's got high hopes, he's got high hopes. That's how I felt about Ryan Loder. Had high hopes. After what he looked like against Robert Valentin, just showing so much heart, basically was completely flattened out on his stomach, rear naked choke was locked in, somehow wins. Somehow ends up winning the fight. Just ridiculous. Now, is that bad Valentin? Good Loder? I'd like to think it's a mix of the two, more so leaning toward good Loder. And he got booked by the UFC to fight Cody Brundage, so the UFC's kind of like, here you go, like, showcase spot, get it done. And I think he pulled out of that fight, and now he's got to fight Azamat Bekoev. Bad biscuits. He's going to end up getting knocked out here. He doesn't really have much for him on the feet. Bekoev coming off of that knockout over Zachary Reese in his short notice UFC debut. It's not like this guy's fought a whole lot of nobodies either. Like, this is a polished prospect at 29 years old. Way more experience, way better hands, way more power, and he's fighting out of ATT. He's not going to come in here getting taken down easily. I think that he's going to put it on Ryan Loder, who's a bit one-dimensional, and I love that one dimension. It's a hell of a dimension. He's a great wrestler, but I don't think he has what it takes to get past Azamat Bekoev this week. I think Bekoev knocks him out in the first or second round. And at first glance, I was like, I think I still like Ryan Loder, even though the line is pretty wide. But as you kind of dig into it, the Russians just got him covered here. He's just way better, and it's going to show this weekend. He's a big favorite for a reason. I don't think that Ryan Loder, if he had better striking, he would have a chance. But given that he's just a one-trick pony, I don't think that's enough here against a guy like this. So give me Bekoev to win this fight by knockout. Next, we have a fight between Marina Rodriguez. She's fighting Gillian Robertson. You guys know, or at least some of you know. If you've been watching the channel for a while, we have massive respect for Marina Rodriguez. Favorite fighter in these divisions. But this is a tale as old as time. A tale as old as Marina Rodriguez. She gets taken down. She doesn't get back up. And Gillian Robertson has made a career off of taking women down, not letting them get back up. And oftentimes when Gillian Robertson takes women down, they end up getting back up because the ref tells Gillian Robertson to stop. Enough is enough. And I fear that is the fate for our beloved Marina Rodriguez here. I think she's going to end up getting ground and pounded until the ref steps in, because referees hate elbows. You start throwing an elbow, the ref is like, whoa, he might as well have a hammer in his hand. And if it's hitting somebody in the back of the head, the ref doesn't really care if it's part of the finishing sequence. So unfortunately for Marina Rodriguez, Red is going to get another one this week. She hasn't finished a lot of fights recently, but even with these recent decision wins on her record, still holding a 75% finish rate in the UFC. She knows how to get him out of there, and Marina Rodriguez has just shown us time and time again, borderline incompetent on the mat. So against Gillian Robertson, she's really up against it. I don't know what the odds are on this one specifically at the time of recording this, but Gillian Robertson to get it done inside the distance looks like one of the better bets of the card as well. They think they're tricking us with this one. Let me tell you, they really do. You've got Gaston Bolanos fighting Quang this week. Fun fight. Both guys want to throw heavy leather, bad striking defense on each side. Sign me up. I think Bolanos is cleaner, sharper. I would expect that from a guy with more pure striking experience. While for Lee, I think that he's going to throw harder and land harder as a result. I'm not moved by the Cortavius Romeus win, not one bit. And I don't love Quang coming off of a knockout loss either, but I do like that Quang has more ways to win. I think if he wants to grapple in this one, he can do that and have success. I also think that, and this is the more likely outcome here, is that he just hurts Bolanos on the feet. You go back and you watch a fight with Gaston Bolanos against Marcus McGee. McGee was landing hooks around the guard at will. You see Bolanos just kind of shelling up, bop, bop, really doing nothing about the offense coming back his way, and was getting rocked by everything that Marcus McGee was throwing back at him. So I expect a lot of the same thing this week. And maybe it's the Muay Thai background. Those guys, they have big gloves. There's a lot of surface area to cover. They tend to be very linear, stand in front of each other. I can see that happening here, where he's standing right in front of Quang Le, eating looping punches around the guard, finding himself hurt early, and as a result getting finished. And don't be surprised if Lee decides to change levels here, get the fight to the mat on his terms. Either way, I think that Quang Le goes in there, finishes this fight, cashes as an underdog, gets his first UFC win. Give me Quang Le inside the distance. Next, we have a fight between Dontel Mays versus Thomas Petersen. To me, Dontel Mays might be like the WOT He might be the WOT for, however, you have to have a certain amount of fights in the UFC to be part of that distinction. I think he's the heavyweight WOT, and one of the things that bothers me is that he has spent a considerable amount of time training with John Jones and just has not gotten any better. Now, I don't think that Thomas Petersen should be a minus 265 favorite against anybody. I think Thomas Petersen is kind of basura, but I do think that he can get Montel Mays to the mat whenever he wants. Mays, for being as tall as he is, doesn't really defend takedowns all that well. Is kind of a turtle off of his back, has a hard time getting back up to his feet. Hasn't really had a whole lot of success either lately. 11-8. Where's the momentum? Where's the fire? Where's the desire? If he loses this fight, he certainly gets cut. And if he wins this fight and it's a boring decision, he certainly gets cut. So, I mean, you got to get a lot out of Montel Mays this week. Now, he's a heavyweight. He's fought in the promotion enough times, so he's probably getting a decent amount to compete. But I don't think that he's really looking to go out there and finish this fight or win in exciting fashion. I think he wants to win, but I don't know if he has the tools to do so. I think Thomas Petersen's going to get on his legs, get him to the mat, especially because of that tall frame, the long reach. There's a lot that Thomas Petersen would have to deal with at striking range that he just can choose not to. Take the path of least resistance, take this guy down. We've seen it work for other guys before and win the fight that way. So give me Thomas Petersen to win this fight by knockout. And lastly, we have a fight between Juliana Miller fighting Ivana Petrovic. Juliana Miller is somebody who we likened to a Sabina Mazo. I think we had somebody recently we were talking about as well. I can't remember who it was. Regardless, it was somebody who fought recently who was just physically outmatched. And I think that's kind of what Juliana Miller is running into in the UFC. She's tall. She's not that long, but she's tall for the weight class. But I think that physically she's giving up a lot of strength. She doesn't have a whole lot of experience. And in the UFC, she beat Brogan Walker, who had really no business being in the promotion. But outside of that, she hasn't really had any success. Now for Ivana Petrovic, a little bit meaner, a little bit more experience. She's probably going to be able to get her to the mat. I do worry that if she tries to do something stupid like hip toss or something, or head and arm throw, whatever you want to call it, she might get her back taken, and that's where Juliana Miller has a chance. But if she doesn't do that, she should be able to beat this woman easily. And the odds that you see on the screen are actually wrong. Juliana Miller is plus 190. Ivana Petrovic is minus 230. So apologies if you were looking at that for a second like, oh, so we got best underdog on the card. No, Ivana Petrovic, pretty big favorite, and rightfully so. I don't think that Juliana Miller physically can keep up with the better fighters in the UFC. So give me Ivana Petrovic to get that done this week. I think she ends up winning by decision. I think she's just in control of this fight wherever it goes. On the feet, she's going to land harder. I think she's going to not really worry about what's coming back her way. And on the mat, I think the only time she's in trouble is if she puts herself in a bad position. But as long as she just minds her P's and Q's, doesn't do anything silly, doesn't give up her back while trying to look for a takedown, she should be just fine. So give me Ivana Petrovic to win this fight by decision. If you've made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment something for the algorithm, and I will see you at UFC 315. Let's go.